The title is, and the subject today is the activist pacifier. So we have with us Vassilis Noulas with the lecture Activism and Art in Athens, the case of the Mavili Collective. Vassilis Noulas is a theater director and visual artist based in Athens. In his work, he attempts to reapproach elements of the Greek and the European traditions of melancholy, hence gradually constructing his personal spiritual genealogy. He is a founding member of the theater collective Nova Melancholia and of the Mavili Collective, for who he's going to talk tonight. Thank you for coming.
Is English spoken this panel? Because maybe if we all speak Greek, no. I was hoping to to turn it in Greek. On mic. So in English, for you. Too. I was thinking of talking for art and activism in the Greece years of crisis, presenting this paradigm, this example of a collective that I was a member, and is the Mavili Collective, and that I think that it does not exist anymore, but actually I was thinking that it does not exist anymore also at the end of 2013. And then suddenly it started again to make things. So maybe also this is a way that this kind of collectives exists or don't exist or doesn't exist. So I was now thinking about all these years because this collective was created back in 2010. And I was thinking that there are three phases, three stages, like of the history of this collective. The first phase is like the formation of the collective as a reaction to the state withdrawal, to the cut of the financing of theater. This collective was a coming together from artists from theater performance. And maybe, I don't know. And so the first phase is like the formation as the reaction to the financial cuts and the lack of cultural policy by the part of the state, and so it was very spontaneous, coming together of some performance directors in Athens around my age and with the same or similar background, and trying to deal together with all these difficulties and the new difficulties because of these cuts. And so we wrote a letter addressing to the Minister of Culture, and we tried this letter to be collectively supported by the art scene in Athens, by as many as we could find. And then, as a next step, we tried to engage the dialogue with the state, with the Ministry of Culture. And of course, they didn't answer. And then we organized a conference, one-day conference on the same topics: lack of cultural policy, how we can be visible towards Europe, because the theater art scene in Greece is very introverted, and but also there is this lack of institution and of structures that could make it visible and to Europe and such things. And again, we invited people from the ministry. Again, we were trying to have a dialogue, and this time they came. And so we started officially a dialogue with the Ministry of Culture that went nowhere. So this was the first phase. The second phase was when we did the reactivation of Embros Theater. And this happened on 2011, November 2011. And this is like that the group became more radical in a way. We decided to do something that was illegal, to enter a space that we did the research. We found out that this space belongs to the state, and it was abandoned for 5 years and sealed. So we enter illegally. We had the electricity by illegal means connected, etc. So it was something that really was a second step and a big step, like thinking that maybe we can be prosecuted or etc. And we were, in fact. And then this thing was, I will say more later, this thing was very successful in a way, and still exists in a different form, this Embros occupation theater. But this thing was so big for us, so bigger than our structure and than our thoughts in a way, than our political thinking. And so this ended like with quarreling in the collective for different ways, how to deal with all these things. That was so, it was getting very massive and very successful. And this had raised up many issues. And then it was like Mavili Collective stopped. And then last Christmas, again spontaneously, we said that maybe we can try something else. And we enter to a new phase of, again, I think, maybe again one step more, even more radical, like activism, art activism, or activism in a cultural frame. And we did 3 actions, and I will present you the first of these actions that was sabotaging the conference of the Minister of Culture opening the European presidency of Greece in January 2014. Okay. So for me, it's very interesting from a personal point of view how all this, my messing with Mavili Collective changed also my thinking on political things and became more and more radical or raised questions that I wouldn't think before. So I will show you 2 small videos from the opening of Embros that a friend of ours did, a photographer. They're a bit trendy, but you can show show a bit the space and the feeling of the first, of the preparation of the opening. So it's the opening preparation.
This one?
No.
This one?
The opening preparation, maybe. Έχει, αλλά δεν πειράζει κιόλας. This is me, Gigi and Argiro. We were like seven members then. And we entered the space and we found out that it was very well preserved, like a theater with a stage. This is the stage and the seats were, and we were cleaning the space in order to do a big opening. And also we had planned a strategy. Εντάξει. Οκ. Η 9.30 θα δούμε, εντάξει.
Πιστεύω θα τη βρούμε τη λύση.
Πόσο γρήγορα?
Πολύ γρήγορα.
Πόσο γρήγορα?
Πολύ γρήγορα.
Πόσο γρήγορα?
Πολύ γρήγορα.
Να λέμε σε άλλο γραφείο. Τι έχει να κάνει. Αυτό είναι η έξοδος.
Καλό. Δημητρά. Καλό. Δημητρά. Καλό.
Yeah, we're trying to, as a strategy to try to not to be kicked immediately out from the police or whatever. We did that. We opened with a big press conference, inviting all the press and making a big deal out of it, and organizing a festival. 12 days or 10 days festival, full with many artists, and artists not only from the underground and the avant-garde scene, but also from the mainstream, and like trying to get also big names, and also theoreticians and from the university. So trying to have a big umbrella, like that this would be legitimized in a way to that it wouldn't be easy for the state to kick us out. And this was very successful, and it was so successful that it became like a trend, and all the press wrote about it, and it became a hot place to be, etc. And but then this was also the problem for us, because we didn't accept way to this to happen. So then we didn't know how to continue exactly, because we were thinking that this would be only for 10 days, and then it's over. And we were trying the rest of 1 year that we were there, trying to find models how this could be organized, what is the collaboration that we can have with people of the neighborhood, with other collectives, artistic collectives. That we tried some models like artistic residencies. We tried artistic residency for a week or for 1 month, create zones of doing things, etc. But in the same moment, what is very interesting for me is that we, from the start, we decided to call this reactivation of Embros theater and not squat or occupation. And so, because we didn't want to enter to this model of the anarchist occupation that is very common, it's the rule in Greece. We wanted to create another model of possible occupation, but to differentiate it from what is known as an occupation in Greece, we choose to name it differently. And we had to deal with the anarchists who came and claimed that how is it possible that this space would not be organized through a general assembly every month or every week, I don't know, etc. And so suddenly we had to deal with all these problems, and who is taking decisions, how we deal with such issues, how we deal with ideologies, parties, leftist parties that wanted to be there, or I don't know what. And all this was like becoming political aware in a very practical and everyday thing. And so, to make it short, after 1 year, the state started to react, and there were some prosecutions, and we were threatened because as the crisis went on and on, there is a special structure that has been created with extra power in Greece that can sell all the public property. And this theater belongs to this public property that is for sale. So, they were trying to evacuate the space in order to sell it. And then we had this fight in the group. Like, some of us were thinking that we should just go away and do other things. And some of us were thinking that we should save Embros, like doing a big appeal to all parties and all ideologies, and change the model of use. And this prevailed, the second thinking, and we did that. And ever since, the Embros Theater is functioning like with General Assembly every Sunday, and because of some massive presence of also of parties, etc. It was saved for the moment then, and now it still exists, but it's still on danger. Yeah. But little by little, so we had this tension between us, and little by little, all of us got away from Embros because it wasn't interesting for us anymore, since we couldn't produce or experiment with alternative forms of production and experimental art, because all the this is a big story then. And so we were like non-existing for a while, and then we came together to decided to do some more activistic things, and I will show you the. I don't know. You can ask. Yeah. Why not? The occupation of? Yeah. But this is, yeah.
And also the fact that at the same time that the project was starting, there was kind of a movement from the state to close the more traditional occupation, like
No, this happened later.
But
1 year later, I think.
But it somehow, I think, brought a lot of people
Yeah.
close at one point.
Yeah.
And somehow maybe intensified this conflict between the more traditional mode of running this kind of reactivated space, this kind of general assembly, and your kind of model.
Yes, I agree. This is the yeah, you can see it like that. Yorgo, you're there. Yeah, you can see it like that. That there is this alternative way that wanted from the art scene, that wanted maybe that starts from the Lyriki occupation, and but to tell you the truth, this is also very interesting. That I wasn't in the Lyriki occupation, and none of the rest of Mavili people were in the Lyriki. So we were people that with no such political dealing and thinking, and that's very interesting. How we becoming political through these things, and not already being it's totally on the contrary. We had we didn't like the anarchy and all this thing. So we were totally in another world, and becoming this because of, I don't know, because of spontaneously in a way, because of solving our problems into what we are doing.
Why you didn't like the anarchy at the first place?
It's not that we didn't like, we didn't have any experience or any. No, I'm not. I think I'm not right to say I didn't like, but neither like, neither dislike. No connection. It was the anarchists that when we did the.
Every time the police was closing,
Yeah.
it was the anarchists that they were reopening the doors. Not the anarchists. That's crazy.
It was when Embros was closed, we did this appeal. This call.
I know very well what you did. Yes.
We did this call, and many people came from anarchy, also from Syriza, from Andarsia, from the leftist. Yeah.
What do you mean, the anarchist of Embros? I mean, to break the law, there is not an anarchist war. Everyone can
I mean,
we
literally,
broke
that the
this,
anarchists
in the
opened
first place.
the doors every time that police sealed it.
There were many people. I am not an anarchist, but I was also there. I mean, to break the law is not an anarchist war.
No, my position is that he said something that we didn't like the anarchists.
What's wrong with that?
I am explaining the history of what was happening in this theater. I mean, it is a story of love and hate.
No, when we started, and for 1 year, anarchists weren't taking very much part in Embros, not at all, I think. Because when they first came, we had to be a bit tough and say, no, we don't want the General Assembly, and we want this to be run in a different way. And they respected, and they went away. And when we did the call for support, because the state was closing it and there were prosecutions, they came as and other people also, and from other parties, and the model of functioning changed. And little by little, Kínηση Mavili disappeared from Embros.
Some. Some.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have a suggestion, maybe because a lot of people here don't know at all the history of Embros. Maybe it would be like nice also to let Vassilis continue, or maybe focus on these subjects that Yorgos mentioned. So what happened exactly, how it was closed, if this is in your interest. Otherwise, I think we can leave Vassilis to finish the presentation, and then questions and input can go back.
We can come back to Embros afterwards, yes. Because I wanted just to show you this activist thing that we did, that it's very funny. So, Sophia, maybe we can show the video. Yeah. It's very interesting the way the Minister of Culture reacts to all this laugh strategy that we decided to make.
Οι οικονομίες χωρών όπως της Κίνας ή άλλων χωρών της Μέσης Ανατολής έχουν αποδείξει ότι η γυραιά Ήπειρος σε αυτά που προσπάθησε και προσπαθεί σε ό,τι αφορά την οικονομία και την παραγωγική της βάση έχει μείνει σε αρκετά πίσω. Το κόστος εργασίας, μία σειρά από άλλοι παράγοντες έχουν καταστήσει πολλούς κλάδους της ευρωπαϊκής οικονομίας μη ανταγωνιστικούς, δηλαδή απλά μη βιώσιμους. Οι ευρωπαϊκές χώρες, η κάθε μια ξεχωριστά, αλλά τώρα πια στο πλαίσιο της ευρωπαϊκής οικογένειας, είναι υποχρεωμένες να αναζητήσουν εναλλακτικές διαδικασίες παραγωγής που να έχουν το χαρακτήρα της ανταγωνιστικότητας. Μία από αυτές μου επιτρέπετε να συνεχίσω. Θεωρώ ότι οι αναλογίες με την Ελλάδα υπάρχουν και σε άλλες χώρες του Ευρωπαϊκού Νότου, που ταλανίζεται κι αυτός από τέτοιου είδους προβλήματα. Στην Ελλάδα, εν προκειμένου, ο πολιτισμός δεν είναι μόνο η εθνική μας ταυτότητα και η εθνική μας περηφάνεια. Στην Ελλάδα, ελάτε πάνω να μας τα πείτε. Ελάτε πάνω να μας τα πείτε. Είναι εύκολος ο συνδικαλισμός από κάτω. Και είναι εύκολος ο συνδικαλισμός
και η οχλαγωγία όταν εκθέτει τη χώρα και την εικόνα της σε μια τέτοια εκδήλωση. Είναι εύκολος ο συνδικαλισμός και η οχλαγωγία. Ελάτε πάνω, ορίστε έναν εκπρόσωπο και ελάτε πάνω. Εσείς που μηδενίζετε και εξαλείφετε τα πάντα, ελάτε πάνω. Να έχετε το θάρρος του δημοσίου λόγου. Εγώ εκτίθεμαι ενώπιόν σας με αυτά που λέω και με αυτά που υφίσταμε σε επίπεδο αποδοκιμασιών από εσάς. Ελάτε πάνω λοιπόν να λάβετε τον λόγο και να πάρουμε μέρος σε μια συζήτηση. Να συζητήσουμε για θέματα που αφορούν τη χώρα, την κοινωνία μας. Να διαφωνήσουμε, να διασταυρώσουμε επιχειρήματα. Όχι φωνές και αποδοκιμασίες παλαιοσυνδικαλιστικής νοοτροπίας.
Είναι πολιτική πράξη.
Είναι πολιτική πράξη αυτό που κάνω εγώ, όχι αυτό που κάνετε εσείς. Η οχλαγωγία. Και είναι ντροπή. Είναι ντροπή αυτό που κάνετε. Και δεν σας επιτρέπετε να μαυρώνετε για λόγους συνδικαλιστικούς μια τέτοια εκδήλωση. Έχετε ευθύνες για αυτά που γίνονται εδώ μέσα. Είναι ντροπή σας. Ντροπή σας είναι. Οφείλετε, καθίστε κάτω κυρία μου, να έχετε το θάρρος, αφήστε εδώ να μιλήσετε. Καθίστε κάτω. Θέλετε να μετατρέψετε μια εκδήλωση για την ελληνική προεδρία σε οχλαγωγία συνδικαλιστών της αριστεράς. Αρκετά. Αρκετά. Αυτά να τα πείτε στις συνελεύσεις του ΣΥΡΙΖΑ και της Αστείας. Όχι εδώ. Είναι ντροπή σας. Είναι ντροπή σας. Είναι ντροπή σας. Όποιος θέλει να έχει δημόσιο λόγο, να βγει και να τον πάρει. Όχι με οχλαγωγία. Όχι με οχλαγωγία. Θυμίζετε με νανοσύντονες με τη συγκεκριμένη αντίδρασή σας. Δεν τιμάτε τη χώρα. Δεν τιμάτε τη χώρα. Και κυρίως δεν τιμάτε το Υπουργείο το οποίο καλούμεθα όλοι να επιεπίσουμε. Σταματήστε λοιπόν. Σας βλέπω κύριε με αυτά που κάνετε. Σας βλέπω ότι ηγείτε της οχλαγωγίας. Δεν σας τιμάει προσωπικά. Όποιος θέλει να έχει δημόσιο λόγο, να έρθει να τον πάρει εδώ το δημόσιο λόγο και να μιλήσει. Αλλά δεν θα μετατρέψετε την εκδήλωση της ελληνικής προεδρίας σε μια εκδήλωση οχλαγωγίας και τυφλής διεκδίκησης ακραίων συνδικαλιστικών ετοιμάτων. Είναι ντροπή αυτό που γίνεται από ορισμένους. Δεν σας τιμάει ούτε ως συνδικαλιστές, ούτε ως στελέχη συγκεκριμένων κομμάτων της αριστεράς. Πρέπει να μάθετε να σέβεστε τη χώρα. Δεν επιτρέπονται όλα στη χώρα. Όταν σε αυτό το σημείο έχετε φτάσει στη σημερινή εκδήλωση. Σας διαβεβαιώ ότι σας περιμένω στο βήμα. Περιμένω εσάς κύριε που λέτε σώπα, οχυρωμένος πίσω από την ανωνυμία του συνδικαλιστικού πλήθους που εκπροσωπείτε. Πρέπει να μάθετε ότι η δημοκρατία αποτελείται από πολίτες και οι πολίτες πρέπει να έχουν ονοματεπώνυμο και άποψη υπεύθυνη, όχι να κρύβονται πίσω από ένα συνδικαλιστικό πλήθος για να προκαλούν προβλήματα. Δεν μπορείτε να πείτε τίποτα. Μόλις τελειώσω, θα έχετε το λόγο. Μόλις τελειώσω, θα έχετε το λόγο. Αλλά δεν θα μετατρέψουμε αυτή την εκδήλωση. Κυρία Βασιλείου, ζητώ την κατανόησή σας. Είναι φαινόμενα που συμβαίνουν δυστυχώς και στη χώρα μας αυτή την περίοδο. Δεν τιμούν τη χώρα, αλλά κυρίως αδικούν και τιμούν αυτούς που τα κάνουν. Αγαπητοί φίλοι, εσείς που φωνάζετε, μου επιτρέπετε μια κουβέντα? Θα καθίσετε ένα λεπτό με υπομονή να σας πω κάτι? Κυρία Βασιλείου, θέλω να εκφράσω τη λύπη μου για την εικόνα αυτή. με τους συνδικαλιστές μας θα μπορέσουμε να συζητήσουμε και θα τα βρούμε. Αλλά αφήστε τα τώρα αυτά. Είστε διάκριτοι και διάκριτες. Αφήστε τα τώρα αυτά. Και αυτά δεν γίνονται μόνο στο Υπουργείο Πολιτισμού. Γίνονται και αλλού. Ντροπή σε εσάς, κύριε. Διότι κατευθύνεστε από συγκεκριμένο κόμμα και από συγκεκριμένη πολιτική ομάδα. Ντροπή σε εσάς. Ντροπή που μετατρέπετε μια εκδήλωση και οδηγείτε στο να εκθέσει η χώρα κατά αυτόν τον τρόπο. Αλλά ευτυχώς η πλειοψηφία του ελληνικού λαού δεν εκφράζεται από εσάς. Ευτυχώς. Είμαι στη διάθεσή σας και το ξέρετε. Είμαι στη διάθεσή σας και το ξέρετε. Είναι ντροπή να μετατρέπετε μια εκδήλωση που έχει ως σκοπό να τιμήσει την ελληνική προεδρία στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση και να συζητήσει. Ναι, κυρία μου, εκδηλώστε την ιστερία σας. Εκδηλώστε τον ακραίο συνδικαλισμό σας. Δεν είναι τυχαίο που καταντήσατε τον συνδικαλισμό εδώ που το καταντήσατε. Ντροπή σε εσάς. Σας βλέπω ποιοι είστε. Σας βλέπω ποιοι είστε. Δεν είσαστε καλλιτέχνες. Υπηρετείτε τον ανεξέλεγκτο θόρυβο. Υπηρετείτε την οχλαγωγία. Τέτοιες, ναι, ελάτε να ανταγωνίσουμε. Λοιπόν, κυρία Βασιλείου, συμβαίνουν και αυτά στην Ελλάδα, αλλά δεν πρόκειται να μας εμποδίσουν να κάνουμε τη δουλειά μας. Συνεχίστε έτσι, καταστρέφετε μια εκδήλωση, συνεχίστε έτσι, εγώ είμαι στη διάθεσή σας για να σας ακούσω, όχι όμως με οχλαγωγία αυτού του είδους. Με υπεύθυνες και επώνυμες συνδικαλιστικές τοποθετήσεις. Μην κρύβεστε πίσω από την ανωνυμία του πλήθους για να εκφραστείτε με τρόπο που δεν έχει καμία σχέση με το δικαίωμα του λόγου σε μια δημοκρατική κοινωνία. Λοιπόν, λυπάμαι πάρα πολύ. Σας περιμένω να συζητήσετε υπεύθυνα και όχι ανεύθυνα οχλαγωγούντες και θορυβούντες. Να βγείτε μπροστά να τα πείτε. Εάν έχετε το θάρρος να με αντιμετωπίσετε κατά πρόσωπο. Όχι κρυπτόμενοι πίσω από το μύρο. Όχι στην ασφάλεια που σας δίνει ο συνδικαλισμός σας και τα γκρουπούσκουλα της αριστεράς τα οποία ανήκετε. Βεβαίως, να έχετε το θάρρος να αρχίσετε να με αντιμετωπίσετε. Όχι έτσι.
So our strategy was just to enter the concert and starting laughing at a certain point, and never speak and never get in dialogue with him. But as we did that, other members of the audience started to speak. All the people that were speaking weren't by us. It's very interesting to see how he panics and he starts to have some like ready-made things of discussion, like to devaluate the union trades, the syndicalism. This is a very classic thing, and the two extremes theory, like you are either leftist or fascist at the same time, and so this language that is full of stereotypes, and this appeal for dialogue all the time, that is so fake, and I think that he entered in a loop also with what was at the time, but still is, the political speech of conservative party, all these stereotypes and looping them all the time and nothing else. And I don't know. I was thinking that it's like seeing power isolated and like in a bit tragic way. And
this guy is a really stupid person who had no relation to culture. He has been a TV presentator for several years, and he was put as a culture minister there, but he has no real relation to culture.
But this is like the majority, no? Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. And but I think that it's very interesting. What we wanted to spread this mode of reaction, like because we were sure that they couldn't touch us because we weren't doing anything bad, just laughing. So because immediately the place was full of undercover policemen, etc. But we weren't doing anything wrong, just laughing. So I think just like a mode of reaction, and by laughing you turn it very. It's a nice way to ridiculize and to reveal things, and we wanted this to continue this, but the next conference of him, it was like you could not approach, not enter the hall. He was very panicked. And we also learned that in the ministry he was menacing all the employees that he will call the punish the employees that maybe they were also related to us or let us in, or I don't know, things. And because of his relation with TV, he was calling all the press that this will not be spread at all. And it wasn't at all spread by the real, the TV and the news, only through internet and all this stuff. And yeah, I don't know if we have some time. I wanted also to present the second thing we did. That we have one of the problems also is the National Theatre of Greece in Athens, who is very Afisa. No. Μπορούμε να δείξουμε αυτές τις εικόνες. The National Theatre of Greece has turned to be, now with the crisis and all this, started to be very reactionary and very, very conservative, and trying to put in front like Greek identity, Greekness and ancient glory, Byzantine, the Greek identity, all this thing. And bringing up people that were very, that are old and somehow put in the past. They came in front now and doing things in this because it's very important for us, National Theatre, because of the cuts that the subsidies have stopped completely. Every year there were state sponsoring for theatre, and this completely stopped, like we are in a war period because of crisis, without an official telling that this is happening. Silently, it has completely stopped since 2010. It was the last time. And this was like an institution that giving every year subsidies to companies of theater and dance. Doesn't exist. And so it's important, National Theater, because it's one of the last things that you can do work like with some little money that the state gives money to the National Theater. So, and this National Theater has become a very conservative place. So to make fun of it, we created these posters that we printed like it's like it's the next show of National Theater, and we put them all over the city. And but can I? How do you see the next? Or so yeah, and by all this. It's very Greek context, but all the elements of the poster have hints and connotations, and making fun. And for example, the logo of the National Theater that is very successful and won a competition for graphics now is to be replaced by this new National Theater. Because we want something more, I don't know, because everything has to be changed, and it's a big question. It was a big question in Athens about this change of the logo and why to do that, because spent of money changing a logo that was so successful, etc. And so this is the new director that is he's a close friend of the Prime Minister. And that's how he got the position. And this is letters that hint to Byzantine history, because he's a lot of he's doing a lot of like Byzantine icons and all this. The logo on the top is the logo of the one image of junta. The dictatorship that we had in the late 60s and 70s. And this is an old man that now became president of the National Theater School for Theater. And this is a very funny lyric that because he was also writing poems, and this is a known song, but it hints to the pop culture, Greek pop traditional culture that was the new aesthetics of National Theater. And also this is like the TV aesthetics that also is there. And this is the tradition like linked with the title. And here we have the ancient glory and the sponsors that are all involved in a way, and more things. And what we did is that we gave the mobile number of the president of the National Theater to reserve a place for this new show. And so next day everybody was calling our friends, but also, I don't know, other people, calling him to reserve a place or call to the National Theater. And so it became a big scandal in this milieu of the National Theater. And he did prosecute, but we had a lawyer that we were taking advice, and he told us that we shouldn't at all claim it should be done anonymously, because it's very dangerous that we could be prosecuted, etc. So the prosecution was against whoever did that, you know, a general prosecution. And yeah, there are, okay. And then we did what, I liked very much the old-fashioned way of doing that, spreading posters all over the town and using this old model of propaganding, I think. And then next week, as a reaction, we did another poster with the next show, which is the next line of the song, actually. I don't know how to. Even more, the more fascist mood. And we also, here we had an offer, like with again calling him. You can watch the two shows together in the price of one. And we had also the faces now of these people, and so we got a very. They were very angry. And they were looking who we are. And they managed to find out the print house. But in the print house that we used, we didn't give names. So the printer didn't know who we are. But yeah, all this. Okay, this is all. The sponsors are, yeah, channels, political parties, or yeah, I don't know, remap, rethink. Athens. So, and then we did the third action, and then I think we stopped. But as I say, it's strange with such collectives that maybe we still exist in a latent mode, and we will do something else maybe later, or I don't know. But for the moment, no. This is all.
So now it's time for questions and start a conversation. And just maybe, if you allow me, I just want to say, maybe it's interesting also to say about the στέγη γραμμάτων και τεχνών, if you would like that. After the...
yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you like to add
it's
that.
Very
interesting.
Revealing
because
again.
it's between art and activism and that.
No, what they did, that they invited us. Yeah. We have this, like the state is withdrawing from culture, and private big institutions appear that dominates now culture, especially in theater things. And it's this Onassis Foundation, because of Onassis, the rich Greek man. And there is another one, Niarchos. They're all rich, dead Greeks that have institutions and but the Niarchos is not. Yeah, will appear now. So the Onassis, what they did is because they are very englobing everything, and like really they look like this Onassis Foundation, like dominating all theater field, and finding ways to take everything inside this institution. So what they did is, that was very awkward. After the Prime Minister's sabotage, that was very successful in the internet and had a lot of shares and all this, the lady that is in charge of the theater programmation called us and proposed, giving us congratulations and proposing that we take part in a German show, a German director that was coming in Greece for a show, and the German director needed somebody from the audience, from the Greek audience, to react spontaneously and create a little crisis in the scene, or making political issues, etc. And so she offered us the chance to take part in this show. Yeah, we didn't, of course, but we were very shocked by the quickness of the system, yeah, that, yeah.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Vassilis, for your contribution and also for showing a little bit of the history of the, let's say, Embros, of course, yeah, but also like, let's say somehow grassroots activism in terms of cultural practices. And my question, I will go back to the previous discussion, or not, the startup discussion that I'm not sure if we can use the term, you know, the political, the apolitical, and then the anarchy. So I thought maybe you said it very quickly at that point, but it's not, if you, let's say, distance yourself or the collective from an autonomous or anarchistic approach, it doesn't mean that you don't make your hands dirty with the political. So maybe for me the question is, what kind of interventions Mavili Collective is doing? And because there is a political intervention in this case. So I don't know if you want to put it in the, let's say, in a specific spectrum of a practice, or let's say combined with Embros and so on and so on. But for me, it would be interesting to be a little bit more specific. What do we mean when we or let's say this kind of initiatives?
No, I totally agree that everything that Mavili has done is political, and that we cannot say so easy apolitical, political, anarchy, or I don't know what. But it's just to say that it's like I am part of this generation that after the 80s, that was so much in a banal way politicized everywhere, in the school, in the university. I was part of this generation that reacted to that and went like apolitical. This doesn't mean that I wasn't political. I was very much interested in, I don't know, all the theories and the ideologies, but I didn't like this vulgar thing that, I don't know. I remember in the university that the parties were so dominated and dominating, and assemblies everywhere and all this stuff. I was part of these people who, and I think there were a lot of people like me. I think that I am part of a generation who reacted to all this stuff and became like apolitical. But yeah, again, this is problematic, but just to differentiate it from what was mainstream political at the time. And again, I never went to anarchy and all this. So there is this neutral space in the middle of what was very dominated by parties at the time, and the anarchy space and all this. Yeah, but I agree that it needs more elaboration, all this thing.
I think for whatever reason, perhaps because of your political experience in the 80s, you've come to a really amazing place in terms of your theoretical thinking on this, because I think we're all suffering under the confusion of the establishment with the word politics. And this creates the kind of conflict that we had earlier, where the only choice is to be an anarchist if you're going to oppose the system, or try to come up with another way. And you made a really interesting point that led to the earlier fracas, where you said we weren't interested in anarchy, we wanted to have an assembly. And I was wondering if you could discuss the difference.
You said we weren't interested in anarchy.
No, you said, actually, you didn't say that. You said, I don't like anarchy. And then shortly after that, you said the way that we wanted to do things was to have an assembly. So you made a distinction.
No.
I misunderstood.
We didn't want, we didn't want the assembly because the assembly, I'm not sure about what I'm talking exactly because I'm not so experienced in all these things. But
good.
In this context, I understood that the assembly model had to do with actually it was putting the political first and the aesthetic after. And we wanted the aesthetic first and the political after. Or the political produced through the forms and the models of the practice of doing theater. And a general assembly like free to everybody and everybody can come and all this thing has no interest for our aim.
Okay, there's a difficulty because when you speak of aesthetics first as a source for politics, that has a bad history.
Yeah.
So here in this country and various other parts of Europe. So how, I'm interested that you said, you then corrected yourself and then you said practical. Can we dig into this a little just in terms of what is practical about the theatrical? You're concerned with appearance, you're in a public space, you're acting, you're thinking, you're imagining. Can you try to?
I mean that the political in the case of the Embros experiment as we were seeing that is that another model of organizing a theater in a way, another way of collaborating, and another way of organizing things and structures to produce art, to produce performances. And that the political could be there in the way the practice is organized, and not from the beginning something ready like the anarchist ideology or I don't know what, something like that, but I don't know.
Next.
I just want to say that it is not about anarchist ideology, it's about anarchist strategies and the way that they understand the word squad. I mean, it is about a very certain style that we have seen in Athens for many years, how to organize a squad, how to be there, how to take decisions, even the style of your dress and your aesthetic codes. And that's what I think Mavili wants to change. It was not that it was against anarchism. I mean, I guess they also things that they choose was in many cases alike of anarchist ideologies. I mean, the self-organization to get against some laws and this. But it was about a certain style of anarchist code as we know it in Greece. And sorry that I'm interrupted, but I was part in a way also to this organization in a degree that have been invited by Mavili. This.
Just a small clarification. I don't want to take the word from yours, but in the German-speaking context, what you refer as anarchist is the more autonomous scene. So, of course, there is this disparation between the anarchist movement in Greece, as many people call it anarchist, and then in the German-speaking context, we would say linksautonom. And of course, there are also anarchist approach on that, but just to be sure that everybody understands.
Maybe the same thing, it's valuable for what is a squad. like what is a squat in Germany and what is a squat in Greece, because in Athens it's very much related to this model that is one model and only this. And you have to follow this.
When I try to open the discussion, I refer to the occupation of the Lyriki of the Opera House, because it has a specific kind of motivation behind it. It was mainly initiated by artists, and it was very much related with these possibilities of creating art or artistic production without the support of the state. And I would say the second episode of this kind of movement was the occupation of the old Maria Callas residence. And I think this is an important point, because here we can see exactly where the competition for dominance between the more traditionalist, anarchist, autonomist movement in Greece that is organized around squatting and this kind of new initiative by the artists. So the artists came in and they tried to somehow reactivate the space, and then there was almost kind of a coup, and they were kicked out by the more traditionalist anarchists who actually took control of the building. So it's not like these two movements work all the time together, but the anarchists have a very specific point of view of how to run things, and they are not shy of suppressing other subjectivities in order to somehow safeguard their political dominance in this space. So somehow I'm kind of two minds on this discussion about, okay, yeah, but the anarchists opened the door in Embros. There was always this kind of tension, sometimes latent, sometimes more obvious. And I think there is very clear lines between this kind of two perspectives and the kind of two different ideas of what to do with a reclaimed space.
Yeah, I agree.
I want just to add that in this conversation, it's like if we are talking about an anarchist movement in Athens that plays alone at the field. We forget that there is the state oppression. There are the riot policemen and other agents and actors that play at the field. And all these experiments, all these squads, or the reactivations of spaces, they have one moment or another to deal with this. And at this moment, the tactics and the practices that have roots at the movement, the social movement of the past, prove themselves effective, more or less. So when we are talking about experimentations with theaters, or social spaces in general, we are talking also at the same time for practices and tactics that they have to do, and they have to face straight forward the state. And there, the anarchist practices get a meaning. It's not about the lifestyle anarchy or the rest that happens in different squads in Athens. This is part of society. What is important is when you face, finally, the state oppression. And there, some tactics prove themselves sustainable, and some other no.
It's true, but we were also trying to deal with the state in a different way. Like, when we entered the space, we immediately we communicate that to the Ministry of Culture. We communicate that to the municipality of Athens, and then we were trying to again to be in dialogue with the state, and again to be in dialogue with the municipality and try with also the neighbors, the neighborhood of Embros, trying to solve the issue through different ways than the ways of, I don't know, a straightforward confrontation with police or the state. Okay, but this failed. but it could not fail. I don't know. It was also a matter of how you deal with things. But I mean, it's not only one way.
Maybe it should be clarified, but it's not at the present time, the difference between the perception of state in Greece and the perception of state in Germany, let's say.
Okay.
But this is another story.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we should move the next lecture by Kostis Stafilakis. Thank you.